Salutations, friends. It's me, your pal, said Stevie. And today, in front of me, I have two pretty awesome knives that are made right here in my home state of Washington. And I'm pretty stoked on them, I gotta say. Brown knives, I have the FSD and the mini FSD. We'll get into those in just a second. But I wanted to give a special shout out to Steve Cler, who lent these to me to check out. Steve Cler is also in my hometown of Washington. He's just right down the road from me, and he's got an amazing collection. You've already seen quite a few knives from him featured in the last month or so. He's again got an awesome collection and a really cool dude. And like, hey man, I'd love to share him with you and let you check him out. So special shout out to Steve Cler for doing that. Awesome guy. You've seen knives of his featured also on Sawtooth Dave. I think he's sent Metal Complex some stuff, but just an awesome dude. And so shout out to Steve Cler. So, as I said, we have the FSD and the mini FSD. Very similar, couple little differences, mainly the size, but you can see here they come in these Pelican cases. The COA for the FSD is shows that it's CPM 154 in the blade steel. The handle materials are 6A1 4V titanium, and this is number 283. And then there is some knife care and sharpening. They come with lifetime sharpening on them. You just got to send them back. And then the mini FSD here, also in CPM 154, same titanium scales. This one has the lock bar material, which is 416 stainless steel, and this is number 74. Both cards signed by the maker and designer, Craig Brown. So, Brown Knives is located up in Blaine, Washington, which is the border city to Vancouver, BC. So if you drive up Interstate 5 through Western Washington and you try to cross into Vancouver, you have to go through Blaine. That's where they're located. I'm about an hour south of there, which is about an hour north of Seattle. So I'm right smack dab in the middle between Vancouver, BC, and Seattle. So this is a company that is local to me, basically, and I was not aware of that. I've heard people ranting and raving about brown knives. I believe Lefty, not believe, he did, pretty sure proclaimed the mini FSD as the greatest knife ever made. So, will I agree with that? That's we'll see. But here we have the full size FSD, which is an overall length of, well, let me, before I guess I give the specs, let's actually deploy the knife here. So on both of these, same opening mechanisms. You have this back flipper, you have a front flipper, and then you have this fuller for deployment. So here, boom, snaps out. Very snappy detents on these, very snappy detents. But you have an overall length of 5.2 on the FSD, and you have an overall length of 7.8 on the Mini, blade length of 3.75 on the FSD, a blade length of 3.4 on the Mini, and then you have a 5-inch handle and a 4.4-inch handle. So, as you can see, for size comparisons, one is definitely a full size, and one is kind of a standard carry here. Here it is, just because I have it immediate to my immediate right. This is the Luft Concept AV&T, which is basically the same size as a Para 3 and a Penguin and all that, all your basic regular EDC knives. So you can see it's right in the wheelhouse where it's definitely, um, the full size FSD is a little bit larger. You have two different milling patterns on here. I don't know what they call these, but so Craig Brown, the designer and maker, is a aerospace engineer. So he clearly has plenty of CNC operating experience, and the patterns on these are absolutely amazing. Carries over into the clip even. So you see here, pretty sterile knives. Comes both of these have the same kind of vertical belt satin finishes with kind of a blasted fuller. It is a shiny kind. I don't know what the finish is on the titanium. It's pretty shiny. I like personally. It's a little too shiny for me. They've done other finishes on other serial numbers, other drops, and I would like a more matte colored. It's just a little too shiny for me. That's just an aesthetics preference, though. But again, very, very nice on the milling pattern. You see, they both have the captured logoed pivot there. They do have a textured backspacer, non-reversible pocket clip, minimal hardware. You just see one screw on the show side body. As I mentioned, you see that backspacer there, and then the pocket clip matches the pattern. And then you see on this side the serial number and the blade steel. And then you see that button there, along with what I believe is a T8 captured pivot with a pivot collar. And then another look at the blade there. No difference on the FSD. Point out there is some jimping along the bottom side of the scales there. And there is a little bit of jimping along the top of the knife there, which is kind of for the front flipper. And as I mentioned, you do see a button there. This isn't really a traditional button lock. It's very similar to the smock, where I believe this is more of a button activated compression lock. So I showed you the snappy detent. Now look at the action when you push this. It's free falling. Absolutely free falling. We showed you the Royal Wii. I showed you the top flipper. It's also got a front flipper that works no problem. Snappy. You can come over the top. Boom. You hear that solid lock up there. And then, as I mentioned, it also has this fuller for deployment. Which, again, the sounds, the tinks and the clinks and the clacks and the acoustics of these knives are awesome. No problem firing it out with your thumb. Well, a little problem on that one there, but you absolutely can do it. Ergos wise, they're both amazing. There's no hot spots on these. You see, you do have a nice, generous choil that you can choke up into. But even in the back grip here, I get a full 4. I have absolutely no hot spots. I can bear down on this, and it feels extremely comfortable in hand. You'll probably see an Instagram short or an Instagram reel and a YouTube short showing me using these with a gloved hand as well. So they're extremely easy to manipulate, all the different deployment options there. These are very, very sharp. Let's see here if I can grab a piece of paper real quick. So 154, CPM 154, as I mentioned, on the blade steel. Well, of course, that's going to... Yeah. They sliced paper like crazy earlier. I swear to God, when I first checked these out. They were slicing paper like crazy. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe they just need a quick little strop. I know that that was an epic fail on the paper slice test. However, I've sliced. I've already messed around with these a bunch, and they were slicing paper like crazy. So not sure what's up with that, but they are absolutely. I mean, you know, I'm shaving hair there. My dry ass skin. Look at that. Oh, my dry ass throat. Sorry about that. Let me wet my whistle real quick. Some coffee, black like my soul. I don't have my some dude cup today. I put it in the sink to wash it, and I think the kiddo took it. You know, it's probably in her bedroom. Everybody knows that's off limits, but I think she still used it. But this is my Roswell Inn mug. This is where Maddie, Snuzz, and Cue Ball and I stayed when we stopped at Roswell on our final leg of the Blade Show East road trip. Any hoodles. Back to the knives. Yeah, these are fabulous. Fabulous, made in the United States, 100%. I believe they're making their own hardware. Someone told me, I don't remember if it was Steve or not, but someone told me that these, they even make their own bearings. I don't know. I have not opened these up to check them out. I assume you could probably drop skiffs in here if Kevin, Lefty EDC, proclaimed this as such an amazing knife. I have to assume that it is skiff compatible, so I can't say for certain, but. And let me touch on something real quick. Uh, I don't watch a lot of other people's content on knives that I don't have. Mainly, not because I don't want to view their content. It's because maybe I'll eventually get those knives in, and I don't want to be influenced by other videos. You know what I mean? I want these to be my legit first impressions. And so I've heard people talk about them a little bit, but I've never really watched any full videos. Now, once I put out my own videos, I'll usually go and then start watching stuff to see where my opinions line up with other people. But I do not know what. I think I saw Neves had one of these in his thumbnails at one point. I don't remember who else. I of course, I know Kevin. I see all his videos. I just don't always watch them right away. I'm always way behind on content. Now, if it's a knife that I know I have no interest in and I don't think I'll ever check out, I'll probably watch it. But anywho, just another quick little side tangent there. But again, I have to assume that even I don't know if they're making all the bearings or not, but they're making all the materials here, or sourcing all the materials in the United States, and then these are 100% CNC'd and designed and assembled and sent out from here in Washington State. 154 CPM 154, I should say. CPM 154. There's a difference between 154 CM and CPM 154. U.S. Steel. These do come in came in 20 CV, and then there's a 20 CV option on future drops. These are currently unavailable. I think you have to join the mailing list, and you get a notification when they come up for sale. And then I think you got 48 hours once you purchase to pay, and they ship you out your knife. I saw something about that. But here is where I'm probably going to lose a lot of you, and maybe a lot of you have tuned out on previous people's videos on these. $800 these are going for. $850 if you want the CPM 20 CV. That would make these more expensive than an Arius table price. Make them more expensive than a Rosie table price. I think these are really going to be more expensive than just about any other standard U.S. production knife. Are these worth $800? That's what I get asked. Is it worth it? Is it worth it to you? That's what always my standard response is going to be. I understand why these are going to cost $800. I don't think that the mini should cost any less. Really, it's going to be the same. The amount of materials is, I mean, not that different. It's the time and the expertise and the craftsmanship that go into these knives that make them cost so much. I mean, this is not just your run of the mill CNC pattern. This is insanely detailed, and I've looked over these time and time again since I've had them. Oh yeah, the nice. I like the that pattern that they did over the FSD. It's not on the mini FSD, but uh, these things are absolutely amazing. I mean, you can see how even the pocket clip matches the pattern there. This guy is an aerospace engineer, and I'm sure he's been doing this for quite some time. So you're paying for his experience, and you're paying for the time and the effort that goes into these. So plenty of you out there are going to say, nope, no way, I will never pay $800 for a knife. And that's okay. These aren't really for everybody, right? These are for a certain higher end. And I'm not thumbing my nose by any means. Everybody's got their own comfort on what they want to purchase and what they don't want to purchase. So, you know me, I've stated time and time again, I am not a snob when it comes to price points. I have everything up and down the spectrum. I'm a collector. I appreciate them all. One of my favorite knives, as I've mentioned time and time again, is the Kube Momentum. That's a $36 G10 D2 knife, designed by my homie Sharif Manganas. But that's a $36 knife, and I love that knife. It's an $800 knife, and I love this knife. So, again, take that for what it's worth. But so when people do say, is it worth it? Is it worth it to you? If the answer is no, okay. Still, I think you can appreciate the craftsmanship that goes into these. Um, these clips are absolutely functional. They have the pattern does not continue underneath the clip, so they don't get hung up. I'm putting it into my pocket in and out right now. Oh, well, I still have my jeans right here left over from the last time I showed this. Let me show you guys here. They go in and out of pocket just fine. Slides right over the jeans. You can see them both go in and out. No problemo whatsoever. And then they no hang up when they get pulled out either. So they pocket really nicely. Very functioning clip. Not super deep carry, but deep carried enough. I used to obsess with ultra deep carry, and I always do prefer ultra deep carry. That's one of the things I like most about a Lynch clip, is when placed properly, you do get ultimate deep carry, and I like that. But a little bit sticking out doesn't bother me. I talked about the ergos on these. When deployed, you got no problems whatsoever. These are absolutely fabulous. But there's a but. And this bothers me a little bit. You see that? Look it didn't lock up completely. Enough time, it'll do it again on probably even the mini. More so on the full size. And that's a problem with where that button is located on the most most button locks or whatnot are on the right side, or excuse me, on the left side, the show side, and they're recessed a little bit. That's not recessed at all, and it absolutely protrudes. It makes for a fantastic deployment, or when you step back and close it. But the way my hands are, when I go to flick it from the fuller, see, I naturally land on that, and it's not locking up. So there's that. No problems whatsoever if you're just going to front flip it or back flip it, because I'm back there, I'm off it. But if I'm going to flick it from the fuller, it does happen. It doesn't lock up. It happens more often than not, I gotta say. And there, just did it to the Mini as well. See? It's not completely locked up. Now, you see that? The other problem that I've had is when I've been messing around with it and bearing down, and I don't really want to do it again because I don't want it to close on my hand. But, same problem, when I choke up on this thing, I'm not there. See that? Now, am I going to be constantly gripping a knife like this? No. This is not going to be a hard use knife if I had one of these. And I'll get to that in a minute as well. But, however, it is a problem. It is a problem. Absolutely. I wouldn't want this to be just a fidgety collection knife if I got one. And I'll tell you right out of the box, or right out of the gate, or not right out of the gate, we're 21 minutes in. What am I talking about? I like the Mini more than the full size. Not a knock on the full size, but I would see myself absolutely carrying this bad boy more often. And I want one. Despite that, I still want one of these. Mainly because it's made here in Washington. If I were to get the option, I would go for the 20 CV, just because I don't mind paying the extra. If I'm going to pay that much money, I'll pay the extra $50 to get the CPM 20 CV, and then I would love to be able to get one of their different colorways. If not, if I got just this, and I don't care what the pattern is at all, if I were to get just this one here, I would have it anodized. I would send it to Stella. I'd send it to my buddy John, Knife Nerd Reviews. I'd definitely get some anodization done on this. I would not keep it the same. It's more of a chrome color, and have something done differently, a different offset color with the clip. So, yeah, there it just did it again. I'm partial to flicking a blade open. Even when I'm like a daily carry, I'm probably going to flip it more, but I do find myself... So, look, front flippers, I like. Fullers and holes and thumb studs, I like. But if a knife's going to have a good flipper tab on it, if this is an EDC knife, chances are I'm pulling it out of my pocket, I'm hitting the back flipper, and then even if it's not a button lock, if it's a frame lock or whatever, I'm not doing this and then putting it away. I am disengaging, putting it away. All this stuff is just for fidgeting while I'm driving in my truck or whatever I'm doing. But see, there I just did it again. I do find myself flicking a knife open, though, after I've pulled it out of my pocket. So, that's a problem. And it bums me out a little bit. That being said, maybe I could get used to it. It doesn't bother it as much as it bums me out. I would still get this knife. It's not a deal killer for me. Listen to that. I know that's not important in a knife, but it's pretty awesome. Just the sounds of it. So, I think I've kind of gone over everything on these. I don't think there's much more to cover. I want one. And I'm on the mailing list. I'm going to do what I can. I thought that there's a couple of other things I wanted to go for first, but I'm still in the process of selling off some knives, and I am going to set money aside so I can get one of these. I'm going to sell off as much stuff as I can as of right now, and then I'm going to have funds set aside for one of these when they pop up, when I'm able to get one. I'd rather sacrifice 4 $200 knives or even 8 $100 knives to get one of these. Mainly, again, because it's a dope knife, and it's made here in my home state of Washington. And I don't know. There's just something about that really calls to me. So it might not happen right away, and they go pretty quickly, I'm sure. And on the secondary, they're going for double. I saw a RSD on when I was looking up specs and stuff on Arizona Custom Knives that went for $1,800. That's more than double. That's $1,000 over table price on one of these. So, yeah, a mini RSD will be mine, and I don't even mind having to sink a little bit more money in it to get it anodized and whatnot. I don't expect people to do that to me for me at no cost. I want to pay the people, but yeah. So there you go, folks. The Brown Knives FSD and Mini FSD. Oh, let me back up. So, is this the most amazing knife ever? Well, the answer to me is no. It's not the most amazing knife ever. It can't be with that little flaw there, and it's not really even little. Lockup issues are a pretty big deal. And maybe he'll address that. Maybe I can't be the only one that has pointed that out. So maybe he has something in the works to change that. I don't know if maybe even you just made that button a little bit less pronounced and it doesn't stick out as far. I don't know if that would change it. I don't know if he's got to do a little bit more design into that. Changing things around and putting it on that side seems like a complete design change. I don't think you can just flip-flop things. I didn't point out there is a fair amount of internal milling in here as well. But, yeah. It's it's kind of too late to go over this, but I didn't really show how it locks up there. You see the stop pin is also the pin or not even the pin for the compression lock. I don't know what's stopping it other than the compression hitting the lock face or the tang of the blade there. But I totally forgot to go over that. I wanted to go over that, and then I completely spent too much time ranting and raving and didn't show all that, and I think it's a little too late in my video to backtrack. But again, I'm not a knife designer, obviously. But if they could do something, if Craig Brown could do something about that, or maybe it's just not a problem for other people, I don't know. I really don't. But it can't be declared the best knife of all time, or whatever Kevin said, in my opinion. Is it absolutely amazing? Yeah. What I will say is, in my opinion, the Arius is still the king of the folders. It still is, for me. Not my favorite knife, but I still think the Koenig Arius reigns supreme when it comes to folding knives. Very close, very, very close, and they're hard to compare because they're all different knives. The Mac 2, the PM Big Mac, This is also a solid, amazing knife that I absolutely love. But it's hard for me to declare this the king or the most amazing knife of all time. I can understand why Kevin would say that, though, especially as a lefty. For him, as a lefty, that's got to be great for him. That's what I'm realizing. Oh man, they just started up the leaf blower. That sucks. All right, I'll try to power through this in here because, oh boy, it's already over a half hour anyway. Now I can actually understand why Kevin would proclaim this the greatest knife of all time. As a lefty, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I can flick that, no problem. I can't do front flippers left-handed, really, but I'm sure he can. That's probably why Kevin has proclaimed it the greatest knife of all time. It's lefty friendly. He wouldn't have to worry about flicking that out. Yeah, again, I'm not left-handed, so it's a lot different. Okay, I can understand why he would. He probably doesn't encounter that left-handed. He had, but I have a hard time believing I'm the only one. Again, see, there it did it again. It happens more often than not, and I can't imagine that I'm the only one that happens to. So I'm sure there's going to be comments going for $800. It shouldn't have any design flaws, and you guys aren't wrong, or gals, you're not wrong. It shouldn't. That being said, it's not going to sway me, even if they don't make any changes. I would purchase this knife, and I would carry it. This would not be a safe queen. I would be proud to carry this knife. And if I have to sacrifice with the fuller, okay, that's fine, because I don't have any problems flipping this knife with the front flipper or the back flipper. I just can't flick it. I can get past that. And as I said, I was out in the snow with when I took a drive the other day. I was wearing gloves and had no problems with them. So I would absolutely carry this knife every day. It would become an absolute, not every day. I still have rotations of knives. I don't have my one knife that I carry nonstop. But this would be an absolute user for me. This would not be just a safe queen. This would be in pocket quite often. And yeah. So that's it, folks. The Brown Knives, FSD, and FSD Mini. What do you guys think? Dope or nah? I don't know. For me, it's a dope. Anywho, I appreciate y'all tuning in. I keep forgetting to say on the front end of things, all the standard stuff, like, subscribe, share. But although, who are you sharing the videos with? I don't know. Send it to someone else. I don't know. I don't share videos. I guess I post stuff in Discords and whatnot, so maybe that counts as sharing. I don't know. But give it a like if you can. It definitely helps. Leave a comment if you can. I'm horrible at responding to them, so I don't know why I ask you to. There just gets to be so many of them, I get overwhelmed, and then I just don't do anything with it. And for that, I do apologize. I'm horrible with communication. Anyone that knows me knows I'm horrible with communication. I'm always late to reply to emails. I'm always late to reply to text messages. I slack in the Discord. I say Marty sucks because Marty does sucks, but Stevie sucks considerably when it comes to that department as well. All right. I appreciate you, mofos. You can subscribe right there, and then you can also check out and like that video. And until the next one, I bid you, mofos, aw deuces, Carco, aw deuces.